Are you tired of working really hard and still feeling like you are living your life paying check by check? Or are you trying to get more money or to get out of your economical situation? Probably you're struggling and you don't know how. So this is your video. Today we have a wonderful book that is going to really help you to stop struggling with money. Today we have The Richest Man in Babylon. Let's start. Well, today we have The Richest Man in Babylon, written by George Samuel Clason. This is this man that is behind me. It's Samuel Clason or George S. Clason, and that at my I don't know whatever in the other side. That's one of the covers of the book. I really like it, but it's not the first cover for sure. I was trying to find that first cover, but I couldn't find it at all. Anyway, let's go with the book because it's really interesting. Let's first talk about who was George Samuel Clason. As you can see, I'm taking this thing from the previous book we talked, and actually I thought of this being the first book because this book is one of the first um, volumes I've read about economical things and or about economy, and I really like it. It's kind of this with another one that probably we are going to see next week. It's one of the books I really like, and but one day I found the art of the start, and then I was like, okay, if we are going to start a new channel, we have to start by the start, so it was a kind of symbol. But this book I really like. It's not that long, so we are going to have time. It's I think 122 pages. The first edition. I think it's the first edition because I read later that someone said he doesn't have the first. He has the first edition, but I've read always the second one. That it has more pages, so some additional pages. So I guess so. Yeah. So who was George Samuel Clason? Let's start. Samuel Clason was born in 1874. 1874. Probably this is one of the first books talking about these matters, and we're going to analyze why today. As I have time, I'm going to be talking about many other things too. But Samuel Clayton was even serving for the USA Army in the Spanish-American War. We're talking about a war that started and finished. I think it lasted just 1 month. In 1898, they got freed. I don't remember. Cuba, three countries more. Spain lost them. Don't forget them in Spanish. Well, and then what happened after this? Of course, in 1898, he was 1898. He was 24. So later he has to do something, and he started his career as a publisher, and he started publishing the maps. Okay, with maps, he started publishing maps. And in 1926, he published The Richest Man in Babylon. So how this book came alive, I don't know, I forgot the what's there. But don't have to forget the context, the historical context that we have behind the book, okay? We're talking about a context when the First World War was over, 1918. And many changes happened in that year. We are talking about Europe, that was the economical power of that moment. It just came from a very expensive and damaging war, and that power was transferred to USA. USA families and USA economy growth between the first and the second World War incredibly. Actually, the 1920s are called the happy years. If I'm not wrong in English, in Spanish for sure they are called like that. I'm sure, but in English I'm not sure. But I think they are called the happy years. If you know that they are called by other way, leave it there on the comments. But I think they are called like that. And we have years that the the people start getting a lot of money, and at the same time they start to what is called to the nowadays the consumerism, that we start getting a lot of things with a lot of money, thing that before it was not possible for many families to get that, you know? And from 1920 to 1924, the very happy years where people started making money, using the money with the in Wall Street and all these things. There were pamphlets distributed by the banks, by US banks and insurance companies. So all these pamphlets were talking about this, about the economy, etc. Of course, we were talking about banks, etc. I forgot. I was talking about the last book. I meant that I'm using the black background because, like this, for those who probably you're seeing this video in dark or whatever, it doesn't damage your face, your eyes, and for the other ones is more comfortable. So that's why I remarked at the previous back. Let's go back to why Clason was writing this book. I'm going to read because I think this is a part where I got it from the one of the introductions of the book, and it says that Clason wrote this book because Babylon became the wealthiest, city of the ancient world because its citizens were the richest people of their time. Actually, that's an important truth. I mean, the Babylon, if you read the Bible, I think it's mentioned like many times. I didn't read the Bible honestly, just a few parts when I was studying in the school because it was a subject. And I remember Babylon from that. And later, I'm a historian, and in history, Babylon became one of the greatest cities in the ancient history. And know the classical history, the ancient, the previous one from before the Rome's and the Rome and Greece. Before that, Babylon, Egyptians, Mesopotamia, etc. Actually, Babylon, it's in Mesopotamia. So this is one of the wealthiest cities. We are going to talk later about the person who made this possible. But well, and in that moment, even nowadays, we are going to talk about money, and I really encourage you to read this book. You will find a very big difference, and it's that they don't talk about money; they talk about gold and silver. That was the money that they had in that moment because they didn't have the things we do now. Later, it was started, or it changed that kind of coin for other kind of coins because people start to make I don't know to make tricks, no? So I put, I don't know how to tell you, I recover silver, I put gold on it, and then it looks like it's a coin of gold, but in real it's silver. So all these scams made that time to time the history the different governments started. I'm talking about governments like monarchs, kings, etc. uh, they decided to change the way to make these coins. So, but at the beginning it was gold and silver, and it's very the ambience of this book is very good narrated. Is in the moment. No? The practical the practice sound financial principles in acquiring money. I copy paste some sentences, so I'm really wondering now what I was thinking of that sound. You know? But anyway, the financial principles of acquiring money, keeping money, and making money, it was for sure from that moment. I mean, I'm sure people in that moment started thinking about doing that. But the parables written, so the people we are going to talk about now, Basir, I don't remember, Akkad, etc. All those people were not real at all. It's very difficult to find a clay tablet in that moment. I'm talking about 100 years ago. A clay tablet where it talks exactly about that book, about someone doing those things. It would be very difficult. The main things we found is history, is things about the kings, things about counting. One of the tablets talks about how many money he debts to other people. So that's probably true. Could be found. I'm not saying that that's not true. Sorry. I mean, it could be found because it's something important, but no one is going to be typing there with the or no, it was a pencil. No, it was not like that. Like the Egyptians writing. No one is going to be writing in a clay tablet a history of this. Anyway, I'm wrong. I could be always wrong, but I don't think so. Anyway, let's go directly to the first chapter. Now, the man who desired gold. This man is called Bansir. I thought it was Basir, but it's all right, Bansir. Anyway, it keeps writing the power in the word, so it doesn't matter. Bansir is the chariot builder of Babylon, and he got up discouraged because he had a dream where he was reached. He had everything he wanted, and when he woke up, he found himself in the same poor situation as always. So later, Bansir he met his friend Kobe, the musician, and they started talking about and somehow saying how so to pity themselves to talk about how pity situation they are living because they have worked so hard and they still have nothing. Also, Bansir is not just talking about himself. He says that also his descendants may find the same problems they are getting to get richness. So they reach a point. They reach to the point that they start thinking that they really want to get rich. And then Kobe says that this very morning, or that very morning, sorry, he had met their old friend Akkad, who is the richest man in Babylon, and he greeted him with a smile. So they decide to go to talk with Akkad. And I'm going to talk about. I read the book and I also did a bit of research of other people, what other pages talk about this to give you a bit more of information. And in these things, I saw someone talking about lessons, etc., and I got some ideas. I put some of my ideas too. So let's talk about this chapter by chapter. You know, as I'm saying, this is a very short book, but I like talking, so probably it's going to take long. Anyway, acceptance and help. This is the first lesson we can get from here. If you remember, or if you know a bit of psychology, let me go to the page because I prepared this one. There are 5 stages according to Kubler-Ross model of mourning. What is called the 5 phases of the dual. No? And one of them is denial, the other is anger, negotiation, depression, and acceptance. Well, more or less this may change, no, but in the end, what we are talking about is that I lost the concept for a second. Okay, what we are talking about is that first we need to accept our situation and then look for help. No? So here they realize where they are. We've been working hard for a long time, but we still have nothing. No savings, no nothing. And then when you realize of that, because there are people who doesn't realize of that. Trust me, they just want to spend. They don't care about the next day. And then when you realize of that, then you have accepted that you are in a situation of problem or you are in a problematic situation, and then you look for help. In this case, that's what they are doing now. You look for help and to go to ask the other people to what to do to those who has reached where you want to get, so you go to ask them. Let's pass to the next chapter then. Who is Akkad and why there is no question mark there? Because that's wrong. Well, anyway, Akkad was the richest man in Babylon, and very famous, but he was also friend of Bansir and Gobi. two people who were normal. So they both, all of them, grew together. So what was the difference? No? And then when they talk with a cat says this: if you have not acquired more than a bare existence in the years since we were youths, it is because you either have failed to learn the laws that govern the building of wealth. No? And then Akat explains that when he was young, he was trained by 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh. 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh is the moneylender and one of the richer men in Babylon. And then he tells him to save a percentage of the money and then invest it. Now, Akat explains his story. He explains many other things, like he first 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh tells him to keep the 10% of 100%, 10% of what he was earning, because Akat was spending all the money he got. And then he said, but 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh said you have to keep for yourself at 10%. And then the other doesn't understand. What do you mean by keep by myself? All the money I earn is for myself. And he says, no. You keep it aside for yourself. You don't use it. Then after 1 year, 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh come back, and then he says, well, he says, you keep it and then you invest it. The investment that he does, it's wrong. No, he invests with someone he shouldn't. I don't remember now the story because it's not written. But the investment is wrong. 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh teaches another lesson. Don't look for advice for those who doesn't know. Look for the advice of the right ones. And it's like if you go to, if you have, I don't know, if you have economical problem, you go to the doctor to ask for help. The doctor will be like, I work about medicine, about medicine, not about money. So more or less is that. No? So what's the lessons we can learn from here? First thing, we have to get how to earn. Of course, this is the first step, no? To earn the money. No? First things, you earn the money. Second, you keep it. And third, you look for it. What I'm talking about, look for it, is to invest it. Because one thing that I like it is 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh says, you have to make the money to make children, and those children have to make more children. Because when the third time that 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh met him, 𝐸𝐸𝐿gamesh asked him, after he started investing the money with the right advices, etc., he asked him, what have you done with your money? He says, I spent it all. And then he's like, why'd you spend the money of your money? You should keep investing it. So that's important. Earn the money. I'm not going to say whatever the way. No, try to find a legal way, at least. If it's morally decent, better. Then keep a part. 10%, it says here, I use more. I have to be honest. I keep more than 10%. And then reinvest. I'm going to advise you something here. I want to give you one more advice. Don't invest everything, because we are going to see it in some books. I am sure if you follow some Instagram pages, etc., you're going to find that they tell you invest, but also keep a percentage for in case of whatever. You know, and there are people who says 2-3 months, 6 months, whatever. Whatever makes you feel safe. That's right. Okay, we are going to talk later about safeness or safety. Sorry, about safety, about economical safety. But this is very important. Before starting saving, investing your money, you first keep it. Why I'm saying this? Because I've seen people, remember when the book is written, 1929, what happened? People invested their money and suddenly, all their money, and suddenly Wall Street went to the worst moment or the worst time ever. Some know many companies got bankrupted, many economical problems, many much bankruptcy, and many people were committed suicide. just because of that, because they didn't keep a part aside to in case of whatever happens. So if you have, and this is a very important advice I want to give you. Later we are going to talk about the 10, 20, and 70%. If you don't have any debt in this moment, you should keep. If you don't want to if you want to start investing today and at the same time to create your own security, my advice is 10, 20%, 10%, 10, 20, 70%, but in this order. 10% for yourself, like for your safety, for whatever, and you don't invest that money at all, just in very, very secure things. And I'm going when I'm saying very, it's not even bonus, okay? It's like you put that money in your saving account, in your bank, and that's real. Many people, and probably people is going to say, no, you're crazy. No, I'm not crazy. Probably is not what you want to hear, but this is my advice. If you don't have any debt and you want to start making money in this moment today, this is the way. This is the way. There are many ways, okay? But this is what I advise you. 10% in your bank until it reaches whatever you feel is right for you, whatever it feels you're safe with. 6 months, 1 year, whatever, to be honest. But all that money should keep your the expenses that you have for whatever time. If you think that you want to cover 6 months, so go for it. 6 months, it will be right. But 10% until you reach. Imagine you use 1,000 per month, $1,000 per month. So you have to keep a 10% of your salary until you have in your saving accounts 6,000. So like this, you have 6 months covered. The other 20% you invested, and the other 70% for yourself. It sounds a lot, no? And to be honest, in my case, I do it like this. I don't do exactly what I'm saying. I do 25%, 25%, and 50%. It's 25% for my house. What I pay my house is 25%. 50% is for my expenses, and 25% is for the money I save for myself and for investments. So I don't reach the 30% because I cannot yet, but more or less I use what I'm saying to you, and I'm quite safe. No, I'm quite happy of what my life is going. And I can tell you that's not a big difference. Actually, a cat in the book says, that just keeping as 10% aside, it's not that much. So I really recommend you. We're going to talk about this in another book, but since the first moment that you keep that 10%, you keep it in your saving account. There are other books that talks about how to keep 10% before the government takes it, and that's very interesting other way. But somehow it's also not that interesting, because that money that you keep aside before the government gets the taxes, or before taxation, later if you need it, because I'm talking about money that you may need in the future, later you're going to be taxed, and it's going to be taxed even more. So up to you. There are many different ways, but it's up to you how you want to do it. But this is the most the better, the key part actually of this book. Later, let's go to the third chapter, the chapter called The 7 Cures for Lean Purse. This is the situation. I understand, and you're going to excuse me because the book never says what time they are talking about, what's the history. But I guess they are talking about Babylon situation with the king Sargon the Great in 2334 who lived in 2334 to 2279 before Common Era. Common Era? Yeah, sorry, no era. This is a moment when I say this because the context of whatever it says in the book, it was like, okay, there are just two Sargons, and the Sargon the second was not exactly the one who defeated the Elamites. It was Sargon the Big, and actually it's not from Babylon, he's from Acadia. So it was a bit difficult to find the situation, but I guess they are talking about that moment, about the first one, because he was the first the king who started unifying Mesopotamia. So that's why I put that thing. I think that's the right situation. I'm not really sure. It was a bit difficult to find. I didn't do a big research of looking for this because we are in economical things. No? Well, the situation they are talking is that when the Sargon defeated the Elamites and he came back to the city, he found uh, that the people for many years they have been reached, they have been with, they have had great prosperity, but because they were building the irrigation canals, the temples, etc. But those works were completed, and then the people started to lose money. They were unable to support themselves, and then the government or his helper, I don't remember the name, started saying to him that the laborers are without employment, the merchants have few customers, and the farmers are unable to sell their products, their produce, well, whatever, their products. And the people have not enough gold to buy food. And then uh, the king wisely asked, "Where has all the gold gone?" No? That's a question. No? Why people has no money? Where the gold, the money is gone, has gone. And then he replies, "The money is into the possession of a few very rich men of our city. It filtered through their fingers of most of our people as quickly as the goat's milk goes through the strainer. Now that the stream of gold has ceased to flow, most of our people have nothing to for their earnings." This is very common now. So that's actually why the economy or the banks always print money, because they know that if we stop producing money, people will have no money. The inflation and all those things are made to help people to you're going to tell, are you crazy, what you're talking about, you have something in your mind, probably you're going to try just not to watch any of my videos again, but somehow it is, no? I mean, if we stop in this moment making making the money, the what is going to happen is going to happen the same as it is. You're going to get the money, you're going to spend. Many people think about, many people is going to spend it, the other people is going to keep it, but at the same time the other people are going to be more or less like, I don't need to spend all my money. So little by little the difference of the gap between rich and poor are going to be bigger. So somehow the inflation is avoiding that, is helping. It's true that there are other moments that the inflation is really struggling everyone, but if you think of it, it's somehow like that. This is my point of view. Anyway, and then the king asked, why should so few men to be able to acquire all the gold? That's very important. The king in that moment was like, they shouldn't keep the money, they should give it away. And then the helper said no, because they know how. And one may not condemn a man for succeeding because he knows how. Neither may one with justice take away from a man what he has fairly earned, to give a man to men to less ability. So it's not, it's against, in this case is a very a very point, it point directly to the communism. It's a strike to communism. Why you have to take away from a person who has money or who knows how to get money, away that money that they have got fairly, to a person who no, he's going to spend it again. No, so well, because the communism is more or less like all of us should have the same money, and if someone gets more, should give to the other one to keep the same level. The basic, later many things have changed and many things are not like that. But well, and then they go to ask for the rich. They go to the richest man in Babylon, to Akkad, to ask or to help them, to teach few people in Babylon to how to get the money. Yeah? And these are the 7 rules he gives them. No, more or less the rules. I'm going to post them there in the notes. The rules that he gives them more or less are repeated, to be honest. The first two, the first ones are repeated from the point before. Start your purse to fattening. Arcade advises on saving 10%. As you can see, 10% of your annual income or whatever income you have to start building your wealth. So 10% again. Control your expenditures. So he advises not to buy luxury expenditures that become they become more like he means like they are not necessities. You think you need them. I remember like I have this very deep thought. Someone told me I need this mobile phone, and I was like, why that one is one of the most expensive, an iPhone? And she was like, I need it because, and she was giving a lot of reasons there, and at the end, it's like, you are creating in your mind a necessity that there is not, that you don't have really. So he's against that. He's saying like, control your expenditures. So this we are going to talk about later too, but don't expend everything. So if you're going, well, we will talk about that later. Make your goal multiply. So he advises to invest and to compound the investment return for those savings. Guard your treasure from losses. So that's these two are kind of Warren Buffett Warren Buffett. Oh, for one second, I forgot the name. I have problems with names, to be honest. Warren Buffett philosophy, and look how it works. Don't lose, multiply the money you get, and don't lose money. That's one of the. So he advises to taking risk of loss and invest in things that you really know how it works. So. And he says, for example, one of the advices, don't follow the get rich quick way, because that doesn't exist. The fifth is guard your treasures from loss. No, sorry, make of your dwelling a profitable investment. So the advice is buying versus renting, for example, when you're in a residence, or to use your residence to establish a business, and ensure a future income. So he advises you too of having a pension or future retirement. All these things, we are going to talk about them again, and increase the ability to learn. Also, this is very important. He recommends you, and I recommend you too, to keep developing your skills to increase your investing wisdom, and also to increase your earnings power. Okay, so you should you don't have to reach, or you shouldn't be in the moment that, okay, now I know everything, it's all right, finish. No, you keep working, you keep doing, because working will give you good things. If you stop whenever, and I can tell you this because before I had a YouTube channel, it was for some months it was really growing. Like I had 100 followers, and one of my videos went up, like it really worked. I got like 40,000 followers. Sorry, 40,000 followers now, 40,000 views. From that, I got like 400 followers. And then every video I was posting, it was like 100, 200 views from 5 or 6 that I was getting until that moment. And it reached a moment that I stopped. I had to travel. I traveled to another city for 1 week. So I stopped, and all that castle went bad. And it was like starting again, months with no followers or some no increasing. It was really devastating. So I really recommend you the same. Don't stop. Never. And this is related to this. No, in the book they also talk about the good luck. They call it like to meet the goddess of good luck. And this story is that there is a man who gets I think he gets a kind of something, I don't remember, but it was like gold, something like that. And then a cat invite all the people that is around to explain similar stories. And then at the end they realize that was not possible. And then They were talking about why some people, or it's related to why some people get rich or they get luck and other people no. And then Akat says, from that story of try to explain me other stories that are similar to this one, I think he found a bag of gold in somewhere, and then he got it and he was very happy. And then Akat said, like, help me explain other stories, and other people were not able to. And then they were started talking about gambling and putting money in lottery and things like that, or race of horses, things like that. And then he says, like, God or the goddess of good luck is not in those places. And then he says, to me, Akat words, to me, she's a goddess of love and dignity, whose pleasure it is to aid those who are in need and to reward those who are deserving. I look to find her, not at the gaming tables or the races where men lose more gold than they win, but in other places where the doings of men are more worthwhile and more worthy of reward. So I'm not going to read the notes in this case because it's very easy to understand, not the idea. The lack when we say, like, oh please, when we buy the lottery, for example, I do sometimes, especially because my girlfriend does it, and she pulls me a bit sometimes and try to find ways to do it. No? And then in this case, he says, like, those places are not to get rich, and that's honestly very, because I ask her sometimes, like, what's your idea when you get the lottery, when you win the lottery? And many things are what we were talking before, like necessities that you don't need. And I remember also some studies that says that 60% of the people, 70% of the people who get lottery, they lose. They get like 5 years later, their situation is even worse than before because they don't know how to manage the money. Imagine those people putting aside the 10% we're talking, investing 20%, and enjoying the 70%. That would be great for them, but they don't know. So well, and in this case, where he's talking about work. He says that he's trying to find her, so he's working, he's looking for chances to meet good luck, and that good luck is to um looking for situations or things where you can get money. I can give you one very easy example that I didn't took. I could say I was not lucky, but it was not like that. I always liked the stock market, and I still like it. And but I don't do it. Honestly, people say that's gambling, that's blah blah blah, whatever. I don't follow it, honestly. And but I like it. I sometimes read things about that, etc. And there was a moment when 2 years ago, when the COVID situation started, that all the stock market dropped a lot. Many of the companies were valued just $90 a share. And then from that, for example, Tesla grew to 800. I think in 1 year they split up, and I think now they are again like 700, 800. I'm not sure. I don't. I'm not going every day to check how they are, how much they are, what's the price. And imagine from $90, every $90 that you invested, you could have got like 10 times in 1 year. That's very difficult to get. I mean, imagine if you invest 900, at the end of the year you have $8,000. That's a lot. Honestly, that's a lot. And that's what he's talking about. If you like the market, if you know that that's just because the market went down because of a situation, a point situation, and it's going to recover, that's when you can find luck. Other ways of looking for luck that we were talking previous last week, it was like you have this situation, so you go for it. You know that you know that frustration, and you go for it. That's the good luck, that the goddess of good luck that they are talking about. So for me, as I'm saying, the person who is in action, they will find luck. So they will find the good luck. The people who know, who just stay like me with the stock market, just don't look at that because it's not my. I have other things to work about. I working on other things, and I'm not yet into that thing to start working. So I'm a procrastinator, let's say like that, and I will not find it. I will, and probably I will regret like that time. If I would find, if I would invest all my money, then probably I'll get a lot of money. But it's also important that we make decisions, the right decisions. We have the information because in the safeness, well, to be because the word I wrote, I'm not able to read. Um, the if you are indecisive, you are not going to get anything. It's going to be you're going to be lucky if you get something. Next one, it says the 5 laws of gold. So this comes from Calabab, who is meeting a group of men, and then he gives them 2 options. He found a bag heavy with gold, and he says that they have 2 options. And I can ask you this question. Now, what do you prefer? A bag of heavy gold or a clay tablet carved with words of wisdom? Carved, written, whatever. Of course, the group said the gold, they want the gold. No? And then Calabab explained that Nomasir, Akkad's son, gave him both. He gave him the gold and he gave him the clay tablet with the wisdom. This is a very interesting topic. No, normally before families actually, if you go to Asia, you will find this still in there. And some families, probably you know someone who has to work with the family's business because of that. No? So imagine a cat has a son. What is going and a cat is a very rich man. What is he going to do? He's going to make his son to keep the business. This is a very typical thing, no? But in this case, in the book, he's saying that a cat was intelligent. He decided that his son should not stay at home. So a cat gave him the money, and he said, "You have 10 years to show me that you are worthy to keep my money. So I give you this money to survive." And this tablet. What do you think the son did? He spent all the money in 1 year. It's true that he committed mistake. He was not just throwing money away. He committed mistakes. If you read the book, he sometimes is like he makes mistakes because he doesn't know. And then when he finds that he has no money and he still cannot go back home, he looks at the tablet, the clay tablet, and then he starts reading the five advices there. And then it says, I'm going to read this because it's very easy and it's repetitive from the previous one and from the 7 curse. But it says, gold comes gladly and in increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his fortune and that of his family. So it's advice the same from the first cure, as I was saying, to save, put savings aside, and then you use the other money. Imagine, or what I was saying to you, keep a part to make you feel secure, and you use the other money apart. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. That 6,000 I was talking before. I'm a person like that. I forget things and then I return. Those 6,000 that you may keep for 6 months of security. If it's 12,000 because it's for 12 months, okay, perfect. Whatever. That money that you keep for security, remember yearly to increase a 3% of how to say a 3% extra. Okay, and I'm talking, I mean, because the inflation, if I'm not wrong, is 2.53% of the whatever you are getting. So normally, if you put it in actually, there are banks, especially the online banks, which the interest they pay you for having your money, it's it's the same or even some of them more than the inflation, the average inflation. Because for example, this year 2022, I think the inflation is 10%. So your money but try to put from your investments or from your money, to put that percentage of inflation from that year to aside again with that money. You never, I really recommend you this, because you never know what is going to happen in future. Okay, who was going to say that suddenly Russia was going to go to war against Ukraine this year? You know, it's true that all these scenarios were inviting to it, no? But well, second thing, let's keep going. If not, I really go aside and I started blabbing and we don't finish. Gold labor diligently and contently for the wise owners, or oh my god, who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. So what they were saying is the third cure. No, what they did to invest your savings and to let them grow, and the compound growth to create wealth. That is what we were talking again before. As you can see, it's a very repetitive book. It's interesting. It's a very nice book, but repetitive way. But even like that, I'm sure that people don't get it. And for example, me, I make mistakes. Even I read it 2 times already. Third, gold clinches to the protection of the couch's owner, who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. So again, the fourth cure here: keep the invest in those things that you know, and for long term. Don't gamble. Don't do stupid things with the money. And if you want, so as for example, the intelligent investor says you can play with a 5% of your money if you really want to waste money. Okay, but do it with a small amount, and if it grows, oh, perfect. But it's going to happen just 1% or something like that. It doesn't say even the percentage, but this is going to be that's going to be really lucky if you get that percentage over increased. Fourth, gold slips away from the men who invest it in businesses or purposes with which he's not familiar, or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. So it's more or less the same advice as before. Invest in things that you can that you are advised about, or you can know what they are talking about. And for long term, don't invest in schemes or things that it seems to be a scheme or get rich quick. Now, for example, I can remain. I can tell you this story. I'm a writer. I told you, I think 2 or 3 times. So you can see I do many things. And in my Instagram page, when I publish some comments and I put those hashtags and those things, I always get a comment from people saying, "Oh, publish, send this or DM this person, you will get more followers." And one day I contact not just one, 2 or 3. They are schemes, they are scams, they are everything. They told me, like, if you put 100 per 100, if you give us $100, we are going to put your book as the book of the month. It's going to appear in our page daily, and they have like 2,000 followers, 2 million followers, some of them, and everyone is going to see it, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to get, also they tell you, you're going to get X followers, like 10,000 followers, something like that. What I did, it was like, because I'm not stupid, of course, I went to check what was the book of the month at that moment. I opened the book of the month and I went to see the the author of the book, to his Instagram page. No, I didn't do it with one, because one may not be a reference, but I did like 4 or 5. None of them had 1,000, 10,000 followers at all. Some of them don't reach even 200. And I was like, and that book is the book of the month. So, wow. When you invest, really with head, okay? And the fifth is gold flees to men who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followed the alluring advice of trickers and scammers, or who trusts it to his own experience and romantic desires in investment. So more or less is the same as before. Avoid get rich quick, or aggressive in wealth strategies, and go for whatever is common sense saying. No. Let's go to the sixth. This is very interesting too. The gold lender. Rodan this is the story of Rodan, the sperm maker of Babylon, who got 50 pieces of gold. How? From the king. He said that he was making the spares for the royal guard, and he was so happy that he gave him those 50 pieces of gold. Yeah? And then he started dreaming of what he could get with those money. I mean, 50 pieces of gold is a lot of gold. It may be very heavy, actually. He started dreaming with having a grand house, a land, cattle, camels, etc. But then he realized that probably it was not the right thing to do. And then he went to Rodan. Sorry, he went to Rodan, it's him. He went to Mathan's shop, and then the lender of gold, or the gold lender, and he asked him for help. You know? And this is very, very interesting, because when he gets in, and like it says like, "What do you want me to do?" And he says, I come here for advice." And he's like, many people comes here, but no one is coming for advice. It's surprising. And then he asks him for to know what to do with that money. You know? And then Mathan teaches him his rules. This is the rules for lending. I understand. I can tell you that personally, I've done lending money. It was profitable, really profitable. Probably illegal too, because I was not doing by myself. I just found it was a friend of a friend who just wanted to lend money. I gave him my percentage, and weekly we were getting 6%. So I gave him, it covered my week's expenses. It was perfect. Until it lost. And it was like, so sad. 6% weekly is a lot of money, to be honest. And the more I gave, I mean, there was a moment, I live in Thailand. There was a moment I was considering give him 100,000 baht, with this 3,000. So weekly I would be able to get $180, more or less 3,000 baht. Sorry, 6,000 baht. No, $200, more or less. And imagine $200 a week here in Thailand. It's a lot. So what? And here is some of the advice. Not to lend money to those who cannot pay back. Of course, if I've had some people ask me to, like, "Oh, can you give me money?" And if I'm not sure if they can pay back. Second, each time that you lend money, take down the payment. Okay, so take a down payment or an collateral. Like, for example, if there is a person, in case that there is a person who cannot pay, you can still sell that thing that they gave you and get the money back. That's what we don't do. Well, we didn't do. That person, the friend of my friend, didn't do. The third, the safest loans are those where the collateral's value is more than the value itself, the value of the loan. The fourth, lend the money to those who have regular source of income. And in case, this is a fifth, in case that someone doesn't have money or doesn't have a regular source of income, don't give him unless a third person guarantees to repay your loan. This is very, for example, very common for freelancers. They don't have a regular source of income. They get their income from their work. So the time they don't work, that time they don't have income. But for those who have, for example, people who have a lot of money, who get a lot of money, they get loans because you know that person, even though they don't have a salary itself, they will get the money anyway. So it's less risky. But anyway, make sure there is a third party to help. And sixth, don't let money to those who are emotional with the money or to take bad decisions. Now, as it says, better a little caution than a great regret. I can tell you, I lost 2,000 euros with that. Seventh, the walls of Babylon. This is a very short top chapter, and I can tell you that I'm going to expand it a bit. This is Babylon has one of the things it was very remarkable. It was the walls of Babylon. Nobody could get through them. I think 16 times. I don't remember. Babylon has a lot of attacks, and they got just one time defeated. So that means a lot. I think it was 70 feet tall. They were huge, really huge. Anyway, this is more like relating to the economical thing, and that's what I was talking before. Create your economical protection. It's not just in this case, and you will find in the in the in the notes, you will find that I'm talking about other kind of protection like insurance, saving accounts, and other dependable investments. So I'm saying like what we were saying before, no, like if you don't want to get taxed, your money taxed, your protection that year money that you want to save, you could put it in insurance accounts, saving accounts. These two accounts, the savings accounts, if you get the money, mainly you're not going to suffer any loss. Like you're not going to, the bank's not going to say, oh, you have to pay because you are getting the money, unless that money is invested, or but you have to pay taxes. If you want the money not to be taxed, probably you should pay like in what is in USA, like for, I don't know how you call it, 401, something like that. No, and this kind of insurance that provides, that says like if you invest your money monthly in this thing, when you retire you're going to have that money. But yeah, if you, I have the problem now, later I get taxated, I take a lot of penalties, etc. So it's very complicated, this world of investment or insurance. So I really recommend you, and we're going to talk about it in future, but to take account and to be aware of all those options and to diversify. You know, for example, if you want quick things, if I were you, I would put aside 10% directly to my saving account to cover 1 year or to cover 6 months or whatever, my advice, and later to make sure you can pay the savings for your retirement. What may take 2 years. It's true that in compound meanings you're going to have a lot of profit, and you're going to lose money. But in the case that something happens, at least you have that money there, you know. Because if not, imagine you don't have the savings account, okay, you put all that money directly to the insurance, but suddenly you lose your job, you don't get a job for 4 months. What are you going to do with the money, without money, sorry? So you have to go to the insurance, take every month money that has penalties. At the end, you're not just losing that compound money that you will have, but also you're paying for penalties. So evaluate, think about that too. But anyway, don't afford to be without protection. Okay, try to be with protection later. And I'm going to try to finish these last two chapters fast. The camel trader of Babylon. This is a story of Tarkat and Davasir. Davasir, story is that, well, Tarkat is a very poor man. He always asks for money to people. He has no money even to buy food. And one day, Davasir meets him. Davasir is the camel trader, and he owes him money. Tarkat owes him money. And then Davasir asks for his money, but Tarkat says that he cannot pay. And then Davasir says, hey, well, come with me, or let's go to it. And Davasir asks food for himself, but he doesn't ask for food for Davasir because for Tarkat, because he wants him to learn a lesson. And then he asks just a half jug of water, have it cooled, for the day is hot, he says. No? Then Davasir explains that before becoming a camel trader, he was also very poor. Actually, the story he explains is that he was a debtor as him, as Starkat, and then he did the same. He asked for money, he never paid back. And one day, the debts were so big that he was forced to leave Babylon. Then he went with a group of thieves. They started stealing from merchants, and once he was caught and sold as a slave to a Syrian chief to attend to his wife's camels. So Davasir's wife saw that Davasir was not a normal person, not a normal slave, and then he asked him, "Has thou the soul of a free man or soul of a slave?" Then, of course, Davasir, this is within a very big conversation, and Davasir says that he has the soul of a free man. And then the lady said, "Well, then get two camels, come back to Babylon, and pay your debts off." No? And then Davasir's, what he wanted to explain to Tarkat is that with determination, there is always a way to find out. No? That just feeling like, oh, self pity, oh, so sad, so I cannot do it, I don't have time, I don't. That's nothing. If you take decision, if you accept, sorry, if you don't take any decision, if you just accept what life brings to you, you're a slave in your own life. But instead, if you take charge of your life, if you take action, if you start doing your things, you will get freedom. You will get free of everything. And I really encourage you to start. For example, myself, I'm being beaten this week because I'm surviving with just very little money, and 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 at the same time, I don't say to anyone when someone says like, "Oh, but why you reach that situation?" I said it's my fault, completely my fault, and it's because I counted wrong the days of the month. And sometimes I don't get paid for other ways. I have to pay to get my salary. So this month I counted wrong, and I'm waiting for my salary. And I at the same time I was like, but I shouldn't accept this situation, and actually I'm trying to fight against it to get another way to get an income. No, so teaching online, etc. So that will help me. But I could be like many people do, like, oh my god, my salary is not enough, so poor myself, so bad. But no, I decided to, okay, it's not enough, I have to do something, because if not, I cannot live like this all my life. No, so that's the story. With determination, there is always a way. The number 9 is the clay tablets from Babylon, and this is the part that was not in the original version, because one of the comments or one of the websites I read that said that they didn't have this part, so they found it on the internet. Actually, I don't. If you want this book, don't buy it. It's on the internet. The author died 100 years ago. It's free online. Of course, if you want a book, a paper book, you will find it everywhere, anywhere. Sorry, but this book is online for free. You can find it actually in Wikipedia. Well, let's go. This is a part where Alfred H. Shrewsbury from Nottingham University talks to Franklin Caldwell, who's working in Mesopotamia, exploring the tablets, the clay tablets, etc. And he says that he read the 5 tablets of Davasir. Actually, in this chapter, they explains how Davasir get out or pay back his his money, his debts. It actually is a plan where he talks about the 10, 20, 70%, what I was talking to you. He said, Davasir said that he's going to keep 10% for himself, 70% for to expend for his expenditures, for food, clothing, home, etc. And 20% he's going to use it for paying his debts. So actually, it's a very, very interesting way, and that's what I was saying to you. I hoped I had more time, but I'm running out of time. But that's a wonderful. I mean, if you cannot live with 70% of your salary and you have a debt, probably you should think that you are living above your possibilities. I'm sorry to say this. I'm sure I'm not nobody to judge what's your situation or whatever. But I'm inviting you that if you don't reach to live with the 70% of your money, you're living above your situation. And I apply that to myself too. I'm living above my possibilities 5%, but it's a 5%, no? So that is what you can do. In any case, this is a long chapter and I'm not going to, you have the notes, I invite you to read them, but I really encourage you to read the book. If you are in debt, create a plan to eliminate the debt, but keep working your savings and enjoy your life. And when you pay your debt off, then you start investing. This is a very nice way. Remember what I was saying all the time. Keep that percentage of money to make you feel secure. That's very important. So if you have a debt, you cannot invest. I'm really sorry. Well, you can invest, but it's going to take long. The best you can do is to pay off the debt fast, because also the debt has a compound. Yes, the debt has a compound um, fee. So it's a compound investment for the person who gets the money. So the longer it is, the more money you have to pay. So the fastest you pay, the less you will have to pay in future, and later you can enjoy. So again, remember 10, 20, 70, 10% for yourself. Keep it in a saving account, insurance accounts, whatever you want, for the moment that you really need it. 20 for to pay that debt. If you want to do this, all right, 10% to pay that, 10% to invest, 70% to spend in your house. I, I don't know, it's your life. You can do it, but I would prefer 20 and then 20 to invest in future when I can. No? But my main suggestion: don't get in debt. If you cannot pay it, don't get it. It's true. I'm not in. I'm living in Bangkok, and if I don't have a car. I don't need it. It's true that I know, for example, my friends in Spain. They live in a town. They have to go to work. They have to have a car. There is no option. They can go to work without a car. But if you can avoid having a car, avoid it. You don't need it. Don't buy the luxury. Because for example, I have another friend who lives in Madrid. He has a car. He was complaining about the debt that he has to pay because of the car, and I was complaining at him, why you got a car? Why you got the Mercedes? You have the metro. You have the subway, man. Get the freaking metro and go to work by metro. You don't need the car. Well, and last chapter, the luckiest man in Babylon. This is the story of Sarunada. Sarunada is with Hadan Gula, who is his partner's grandson. And he's a very, I mean, the grandson is a very greedy and lazy person. And Saru, worried about for the boy, he decided to explain his story. And he explains that once he was sold as a slave because his family couldn't pay for the debts, and he became a baker. He also, when he started working for his master, he offered him to make a plan to get some extra coins. And actually, the master was really, really happy. And he was getting some money too. So he wanted to buy his freedom. But when he was about to buy his freedom, there was another person who bought him. So he couldn't. Finally, in this case, he found Hadan's father, Arat Gula, and he paid for his freedom. This is an interesting way because Hadan Gula doesn't believe that Arat, his grandfather, was a slave. But well, the other man says like, well, I have to lie to you about that thing. Anyway, this is a story where he explains that with we can learn that from this, that hard working and reading can make us achieve a lot. So you should never stop hard working and learning. That's what I told you before. And also never deny any work, because doing something is better than sitting idle, and create good contacts that in future may help you. That's very important, and that's a lesson that I didn't read from anywhere else. You can see that even working really hard for him was not helping, and you can see it in some YouTubers too. uh, for example, myself, you will see sometimes, I hope so, that not just hard work will help you to achieve your goals. Sometimes you need contacts, and that's where thankfully we are a social create, or we are social creatures, and we can get it, you know? So increase your contacts, create good contacts, and in the future you may be also help get help. And that's all, guys. That's all the book. 1 hour. I'm really sorry, it was a bit long. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope these lessons were really helpful. Remember, 10, 20, 70 in your head. Know that 10, 20, 70. Work hard. Don't stop learning. Go for it. You can achieve it. Please like, subscribe, comments, whatever you want. I really want to know what other books you want us to summarize here, so I'm here for you. Thank you for watching. Even I guess still nobody's going to watch us, but thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one. Have a nice day.